to my channel. My name is Sonia. Today I would like to kind of talk about it is really cool psychotherapy technique that I actually picked up on my way to healing from limerence. So I can say that I was limerent for about like 15 years and I'm completely clean of it now. And this was one of the techniques that I used when I was kind of really going through it, and I didn't really, sometimes the other techniques didn't really help, and this one really helped me a lot. But before I dive right into it, just wanted to introduce what limerence is. And if you're probably on this video, you probably already kind of know what it is about. So it's a bit like romantic obsession, but it's very intrusive, it's obsessive, it feels like you have completely no control over your thoughts, and you're constantly thinking about your crush and your limerent object, and you cannot forget about them. Sometimes it goes to the extreme where you actually are unable to get through your normal day-to-day activities because you're so consumed by thoughts of your limerent object or your crush. And this term was actually coined by Dorothy Tanoff in the 1970s when she was a psychologist back then. But she wasn't taken too seriously because limerence and the subject of like relations, human relations, relationships, love, wasn't really taken very seriously by the scientific community back then. But nowadays, a lot of people struggle with it, and I didn't have a term or a name for it until I came across Dorothy Tanoff's work as well. And because limerence is such a mental activity, I mean, it completely exists in your head, and it just thrives off fantasy. Many people nowadays are very prone to it because rise of technology and stuff like that. So that is limerence in a nutshell. I kind of now want to talk about what exactly is SFBT, or Solutions Focused Brief Therapy, and why I actually love it for limerence and also for many other things in life. SFBT is very unlike traditional therapy. So traditional therapy, as focuses very, very heavily on past traumas. Past traumas, the roots of your issues. So you go to therapy or you go to like counseling sessions with a therapist, and you're constantly talking about like the problem, right? Like what happened, what caused the problem, what's the root of the problem, where did it come from, how did you came to be this way. So the problem, lots of therapists or therapy actually involves kind of talking a lot and expanding a lot about the problem. But the first biggest difference between SFBT and those therapy techniques is that SFBT is very goal oriented, is solutions focused, which is why it's called solutions focused brief therapy, and it's very future focused as well. Okay, so it's all about finding the solutions to your problems and moving on from your problem. Okay, it's goal oriented, so it's you find out a set of things that actually has been helping you with your issue, and you keep repeating these things for yourself. It is brief. Okay, so a lot of therapy sessions actually they come in a package, and then you kind of have to keep going back to the therapist to kind of talk about things over and over again. Sessions can actually last for months or years, and they're pretty expensive still, although mental health has come out to be one of the key things in societies nowadays, but it's actually really expensive. Whereas for solutions focused brief therapy, I'm just going to call it SFBT. It's very brief, and it's also completely dependent on you as the client in terms of like how many times you want to meet the therapist, and what's the frequency going to be like. Another thing is that, like I said, it emphasizes solutions rather than just expanding on the problem. And I actually really like it because I find that personally, when you keep talking about the problem, you actually are constantly in that space of the problem. And coming from a very spiritual and energetic healing approach, which is also a very big part of my work, problems and solutions have different energetic and vibrational frequencies. So when you meet people who are always talking about problems, problems in their life, problems at work, problems in their relationships, they're always very, very uh, problem focused, and can be a little bit negative. Whereas I feel that for solutions, when you focus more on the solutions, you kind of shift into the energy of like, okay, I accept that I have this problem, I acknowledge it, and I want to move on, and I want to find things that actually work for me. So it puts you in a very proactive and a very positive space, which is why I love SFBT so much. It also helps you to progress quickly, because instead of kind of figuring out where the problem came from, you just accept and acknowledge that you have an issue, and you just move on. Okay, you move on to finding like the amazing solutions that work for you. So for example, in the case or context of limerence, instead of focusing on why you're experiencing limerence, what are your childhood issues, what's the trauma and stuff like that, it focuses on how you can shift out of it or out of limerence by creating new habits for yourself, new habits, new thought habits that lead to healthier emotional states. Okay, and it's very brief and structured sessions. They don't have to be like 2 hours of hypnosis or whatever it is. Okay, and for SFBT and in the context of limerence and why it's such a great fit for limerence, I just want to say that, if you're very caught up in the emotional whirlwind of unrequited love, which is very, very common in limerence, where you're very, very caught up in this emotional, like the emotional state and emotional volatility when you actually navigate obsessing over, liking or disliking your limerent object, the last thing you actually want or need is to spend a lot of time replaying and analyzing the pain. This is why I kind of like to get out of the problem space, not only just in limerence but in everything else as well. Because when you get out of that, SFBT helps you to focus on the practical solutions. So it helps you to identify what you can do to feel better right now and in the future. So it helps you to identify what is working for you or what can work for you to break out of your limerent pattern. Okay, so it allows you to focus on building a future without limerence and without being bogged down by all the emotional baggage. So the goal is to break out the repetitive cycle of obsession by focusing on actions and choices that will shift your attention towards positive outcomes. And when you are in that space, of just finding solutions and being in that solutions focused space for limerence, it actually encourages your rapid progress or healing as well, because you're setting achievable goals for yourself. It's not just like, oh, I want to feel better, but how do you feel better and how do you go about doing it? So SFBT kind of really helps you with that. Just a couple of key examples or principles of SFBT. Like I said, firstly, it's all about the solutions and not the problems. There's a lot of attention directed to what works and what will work. There's a lot of time also spent on identifying resources and strengths, like highlighting the skills and the tools that you already have, and what do you already possess that you can actually tap on to help you break out of this limerent pattern. SFBT also emphasizes setting small, achievable goals, which are bite-sized, digestible. So this isn't about fixing everything at once, but making small, manageable steps towards a more healthier mindset, towards a healthier love life. And like I said, so many times in this video already, SFBT is very future-oriented. So instead of getting stuck in the past or in the pain of the present and constantly talking about how you feel because your limerent object is just not around, it encourages you to imagine and to actively work toward a better future for yourself. So I really, really like that positive direction that SFBT kind of puts you in. Some of the techniques that are used in SFBT, or some of like the key tenets of SFBT, is that firstly, there's this thing called the miracle question, which is a very, very powerful tool in SFBT and something that I always ask myself if I'm actually facing a very challenging situation in life. I ask myself, there are various variations that you can use to this question, but one of the variation, or one of the types of like questions you can actually ask yourself in terms of the miracle question is, imagine waking up and your limerence is completely gone from your life. What is different? And how does your life look like at this point? Okay, so this helps you to visualize a future without this obsession. And when you ask yourself the miracle question, of course, try to write it or to recite it in a way that is actually that resonates with you, because what I write here might not be what resonates with you. So just play around with the wording, and the key is to really imagine what it will feel like where you don't in a world where you actually don't have this issue. And what I really like about this is that you can really, really be as creative as you want to be. So think about, like the things that you actually would do, what you actually be seeing, what you'll be doing, what will be in your head, what you'll be thinking, what you can imagine your life to be if you were not limerent or you were not in this limerent state. So this is really amazing because, and I encourage you not to actually filter yourself too much and just write as much as you can in this like ideal state of being non-limerent, because this is the state that you actually want to try to reach to, and this is actually the state where you want to take steps towards becoming. Okay, and the second powerful question or powerful tool that you can ask yourself is, or you can use, is something called the scaling question. So rate your current emotions from 1 to 10, and what will it take to improve by just 1 point? Okay, think about what would need to happen, what would you need to be doing for you to shift your emotional scale from where you are now to where you want to be. So for example, like in the context of limerence, from a scale of 1 to 10, I'm actually like a 9 right now. I'm actually like, okay, let me rephrase that. So let's say that on a journey of healing from limerence, what is my current emotional state? So maybe it's like a 4 because I don't feel too good about it, and I feel like, there's not much progress. So shift it up a little bit to a 5 or 6. What would a 5 or 6 in your, your limerent, when you're healing from your limerent journey, what would a 5 or a 6 look like? What would that entail? What would that, if you're a 5 or 6, what you would be doing? What will you be doing, and how will you be, making your ways through the world? So that's an amazing, also a very amazing visualization question, but it's also very actionable because it's like steps you can take in the very near future to actually get to a certain space that you want to be at. The very third and final tool is something that is called an exception, which is also a very powerful tool in SFBT. So we are looking for exceptions or moments where you weren't feeling limerent or you weren't feeling obsessed with your limerent object. Okay, so ask yourself, when was there a time that you didn't feel limerent, and what was different for you in those moments? How can you recreate that in your life right now? Okay, so although you might rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, you might think that you are incredibly limerent, like it's a 9 or 10, completely out of control, and something that you have, like, you don't seem to have any sort of control over, and you find it very difficult to actually heal from it. But there will definitely be some points in your life where you actually were not limerent, or you just weren't obsessed with someone. So how was that for you? What was going on at the time? What was different? Maybe you were more like engaged with your work, or maybe you're more engaged with friends, or maybe you had more friends. So for me, when I was actually asking myself a lot of these exception questions, and I was thinking about the time when I didn't feel limerent, it was actually when I felt really connected with my friends. I felt really connected with the social life and the social community that I had out there. I was very, very into my hobbies. So one thing that I noticed about myself is that whenever I was limerent, I was constantly scrolling on the phone mindlessly, and I was always on social media. I was always like kind of in my thoughts. But whenever I was not limerent, I was actually doing stuff. I was actually engaging in my reading. I would be doing some kind of art and craft activity, which I really love as well. I'll be thinking of like creating videos like this. I'll be actually hanging out with friends. So whenever I was not limerent, there were, like, when I was limerent, there were spaces that I wasn't, and that was what I would be doing. And when I noticed that, I realized that I needed to bring more of those activities into my life, to prioritize them, so that I can slowly get out and break out of the limerent cycle. Something for you to think about, actually. So moving on a little bit, SFBT, or kind of using that as a strategy to heal from limerence, the key is to really focus on what is working for you. So in limerence, it's very easy to actually feel like you are in a powerless and stuck in an emotional loop. But through SFBT, you will be able to identify moments where you feel more in control, less obsessed, and more balanced. Okay, so you are able to pinpoint those specific moments, and the goal that you have throughout this healing process is that you learn to amplify and to increase the frequency of those amazing moments. Okay, and to increase the number of times that you spend engaging in those productive strategies that you want to take to break the limerent cycle. So what were you doing differently during those times? Again, ask yourself, what was your mindset like? How was your life like? What emotions were you actually experiencing? Once you know what works, you can start applying it consistently to break free from the emotional roller coaster of limerence. So explore what worked. Think about the times when you're really happy, you're not limerent. Start to apply it more consistently. Identify those events and those things that you were doing and start to bring it more into your life. So strengthening all these very healthy, productive habits which actually connect you with other people, like real life people, and connect you with yourself, it can lead you slowly away from obsessive thinking, because obsessive thinking is very mental, but you need to break that cycle by actually bringing your focus into something that is more physical and is more grounded. So things that you really enjoy doing, people that you really like to be with, get out there and engage in these activities. So how do you then begin to set goals in SFBT to kind of break out the limerent cycle? So setting specific, measurable, achievable goals is actually a very, very, it's the key tenet of SFBT. So if limerence has you feeling stuck, try setting small goals, okay, that can help you take control. These goals don't have to be humongous, and in fact, I don't think that you should actually start with very humongous goals, because it's very easy to feel discouraged, and it's very easy to kind of give up after that. It shouldn't be too challenging for you, but it should be something that feels good enough to do, but not too challenging that you give up. So, for example, you might set a goal like, I will spend 1 hour a day doing something I love that has nothing to do with the person that I'm obsessed with. So, when I was actually healing from limerence and I actually tried this technique on myself, I spent every single day reading. Okay, because like I mentioned earlier in the video, reading was a very big part of how I actually reconnected with myself and reconnected with my life. So I spent about half an hour to 1 hour just reading, and whenever I did that, I found that increasingly over time, I started becoming more into my own, into the book and into the fantasy world and into something that I could actually sink my teeth in, instead of just scrolling social media and staring at my limerent object, because most of my limerent objects were actually celebrities. So I would spend a lot of time on social media just scrolling, and that would actually make me feel worse. Whereas when I was reading a book, I felt amazing. Okay, and it's these small shifts, when you identify them, it can make a really huge difference over a period of time. So by focusing on things that nurture you rather than feeding, the obsession, you're slowly rewiring your brain to prioritize your well-being over the emotional drama. So you focus on shifting your energy toward positive, achievable outcomes and positive things and activities that you used to enjoy. Okay, but you probably have forgotten how to connect with them anymore. So it's time to go back to that space. So, okay, I think let's just be real, okay, in our healing journey, whether it be limerence or anything else, but especially in limerence, you need to be very compassionate and very gentle with yourself, because setbacks are inevitable. Okay, there were so many times in my healing process where I actually felt like I was taking 10 steps forward, and then one fine day I will wake up and I will not be in a good mood, and I'll start scrolling social media and it will get worse, and then I find myself spending 4 hours on social media just being obsessed about the celebrity that I was into. So things like that happen, and you are human and you need to be gentle, kind and loving to yourself when you're going through this process. It's completely normal. Maybe you see, the person that you're limerent over, on social media, or maybe a random memory, a random photo that you actually, see, it pops into your head, and suddenly you're right back where you started. So you feel like you kind of undid all the healing that you actually, started. So SFBT actually helps you to understand that setbacks are actually part of the entire healing process and the whole, therapy process. So when setbacks happen, it's important to actually reflect on how far you have come and what's worked for you so far, instead of beating yourself up on oh my god, I have so much of work left to actually break out this limerent pattern. Change the wording, change how you speak to yourself, and tell yourself, hey, I've done all these work already. I had a little bit of a slight distraction, and I went to scroll social media, but it's okay because I'm human and I actually make mistakes, and that's completely fine. But these are the things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that have been working for me so far, and I will make sure that I will go back to doing these things very soon after this, just like that. Okay, adjust your goals if needed. Okay, if they feel a little bit too challenging, or they feel a little bit too much of a stretch for you, just make it a little bit more digestible and more bite-sized. But do not actually feel discouraged or lose track of your progress, or lose sight of the progress that you're making, because each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to that sort of emotional freedom that you want to feel from Limerence, and it also brings you closer to building a reconnection with yourself, and building, and attracting a healthier relationship and a healthier love out there. So adjust, be adaptable, adjust as you go, adjust your goals and solutions based on what works. If something doesn't work, just stop it. Okay, you don't have to keep on with a certain technique or certain strategy if it doesn't work for you. And it's the same, for SFBT as well. So in terms of like long-term healing, I feel like one of the best things about SFBT is that it can really, really equip you with all these tools that you can use for a very long term, and you can use for other problems as well, other issues in your life. You're not just solving the immediate problem of limerence, you're learning how to build resilience against, future emotional challenges or future other episodes that actually appear in your life. So by constantly focusing on solutions and making positive changes, you create lasting shifts in how you actually approach relationships and how you approach love as well. Because when you constantly focus on solutions, and when you're kind and gentle with yourself, when you make, a slight blip or slight mistake, you become very, very adaptable and very resilient to, other things in the future. And you are able to kind of shift your strategies. If something is not working, you are able to shift into, and think about other strategies or other techniques that may work. So SFBT empowers you to actually create this lasting change in your thought patterns, where you're not just sitting there just scrolling mindlessly, or not just like thinking about your limerent object when you're supposed to be doing something important. When you have SFBT, you are in this constant like mindset, or in constant like there's this change in your mindset, your behavior, where you start to create very lasting change in your thought patterns, where you start to actually create a lot of um, you start to really know what works, and you can switch, from that problem space, that energetic space, into a solutions energetic space, which is what I was talking about earlier on. So you can start to actually, use it as a tool for personal growth beyond limerence, like I said. And it's about creating a healthier, more empowered version of you. And because it's also very goals focused, it actually helps you to be a little bit more structured and a little bit more concrete in how you actually approach issues in life and how you approach life in general. So it's amazing, and I really recommend that you just, you take those like 3 tools, and you start doing and incorporating SFBT in your healing journey today. So try this, go back after you finish this video, watch it again if you have to. Try to incorporate SFBT in your healing journey. So if anything, go back to that slide where I talk about the 3 powerful tools, and just keep using it every day. Whenever you feel that something is not working, or something doesn't feel right, or you find yourself slipping back into limerence, or slipping back into your old habits, pull out those 3 tools and go through them one by one again, and remind yourself of what are the things that you're supposed to be doing at a moment in time to actually further your healing in and breaking out of the limerence cycle. So remember to focus on your solutions. Don't focus on the pain. Don't focus too much on the problem. We all know we are limerent, okay? Which is why we are here. Don't focus too much on it. Okay, let it go, accept it, acknowledge it, and then find a solution, and then move on. Acknowledge your emotions though, and be gentle with yourself in the healing process. So this is really kind of how I incorporated SFBT into my healing journey. I did a lot of other stuff as well, and I actually share quite a bit of it in my book, which I will link down in the description box below. But SFBT was a very cool way, and because for me, I'm someone who I like structured stuff, but I'm not actually a very structured person. I need someone to actually guide me. SFBT was amazing. And of course, talking about the person, if you're someone that actually really needs guidance, and you really need to talk to someone about your limerent issues, or maybe something else that you're facing, and you really want to move into a more positive, encouraging, solutions focused space, my one-on-one sessions are also open. Some of my clients like tarot readings, which I also do, and just get a sense of like check of their current energetic situation. Others actually really like the one-on-one counseling or coaching session, so it really depends on what you want. Everything is linked down below, and with that, I really wish you the best in terms of incorporating this new technique into your limerence healing journey. And if there's anything, just drop me an email or note on Instagram and let me know how you're doing. If not, here is wishing you the very best, and I will see you in the next